Dear students, let us start the discussion on 02nd December 2016 newspaper. The first editorial, it is related to contours of a challenge. I am trying to keep this article in the perspective of judicial activism. And now, in a democracy, every institution has to respect the competence and expertise of the other institution. So, judicial activism goes against to this. It is based on a notion that and in the executive and legislature are failing to fulfill their responsibilities, and judiciary has to take that particular space, and judiciary has to fulfill that responsibility, and this has led to the concepts of activism. And in this case, second thing, judiciary has to verify a move of executive and legislature not only from procedural irregularities and also from the dimension of the future potential injustices it can cause to the people. From these two things, if we observe the present demonetization drive, few experts call it as, if judiciary involves into this, call it as a judicial activism. They consider that the demonetization is purely an exercise of policy and it is the executive prerogative, and judiciary shall resist itself from involving in the same. On the other side, the present article, what it says is, the section 26 subclause 2 of the RBI Act 1934, it did not provide the authority to the government to demonetize. It only provides for removing of certain series of the notes from circulation as the legal tender. So it is violating the procedural norm. And the second thing is, the demonetization also has caused huge humanitarian costs. It means the rights of the citizens are being violated and it is causing huge hardships and injustices to the people. So from this perspective, judiciary has every right to intervene on the demonetization exercise because it is the protector of the rights of the people. So that's what the essence of this article. The Patriotism by Diktat. Actually, I was expecting this article from Hindu. So what it says is this. The patriotism need to be explicitly expressed. It's a natural feeling of an individual to a nation. Explicit dictum or judiciary trying to enforce the patriotism through its orders. It creates unnecessary vigilantism and it provides for legitimacy to the actions of the vigilant nationalists. So that's what the article talks about. HIV, the self-test option. Now, the people living with HIV, if they are being diagnosed early and provided the treatment, then the longevity of the life can be expected. But however, there are many social prejudices against HIV. That's why people are feared from getting themselves tested from HIV. So, as of now, under the National AIDS Control Program, we have integrated counseling and testing centers. But many people are not willing to go there. So WHO has prescribed the guidelines for self-testing option today. So in this self-testing option, an individual can test himself for the HIV at home itself. And added to that, community testing is also on the way. So here we need to understand certain challenges to this self-testing approved by WHO. The first one is, the test is not 100% accurate. The 93% is the accuracy rate. It means that false negatives can be a possible towards this. So the article did not talk about false positives. False negatives, it means that though a person has the HIV, the test may come negative. And the second thing is, the fight against the HIV needs to fight against the social prejudices. And in this context, the counseling need to be an important part of this. So previously in the ICTCs, testing and counseling are integrated. Now when the self-testing is allowed for, obviously if an individual tests positive, he may get into depression and go for untoward consequences with his life. So in such a situation, the counseling, how it need to be integrated with the testing is the major challenge. In the United States of America, the telephonic counseling, is available for the people. Any person who gets tested positive for HIV can call to a call center and take the telephonic counseling and fix for the physical counseling over there. Such innovative practices also need to be brought in. But however, the early diagnosis and treatment of the people for HIV will kill the life cycle of this disease and it will make India healthy. As of now, India expected to have 2.1 million of HIV patients. Now, already we have seen last week that the government is bringing in people living with HIV bill in the parliament and it is also providing for the right to privacy for the PLHIV people. So that's what is the associated news. Now, on the perspective page, democracy direct to home. Now, here let me make a popular quote of Kushwant Singh. When an election is fought in the name of a leader rather than in the name of a party, and if it gets a huge majority, then there will be a huge temptation for the leader to directly go and address to the people and to take the legitimacy from them. Now, let's see the representative democracy, how it functions. The democracy is not about the tyranny of the majority. It has to protect the rights of all the people, the majority and minorities. And the democracy ensures the protection of the minority from the tyranny of the majority. So that is the reason why checks and balances are instituted. Certain rights are being given to the people. Institutions are created to enforce the same. And second, the leader's temptation to go for the people is hindered in a representative democracy by creating a deliberative process in between. Certain institutions are created and procedures are created which a leader is expected to go through when a decision is supposed to be made. Now, the populistic leader who has got the mass appeal tries to bypass or is impatient with these processes and procedures which are there in representative democracy. So he seeks to gain the legitimacy from the people, directly addressing them. In those circumstances, there is every possibility that he may carried away with the majoritarian opinion. So, in a representative democracy, we have to provide for legitimacy for the institutions and their actions, and every decision has to go through the tortuous process of these institutional understanding. Now, the third thing is, today direct democracy in the form of referendums, it is reducing the democratic decision making into binaries. What do I mean by binaries over here? Yes or no notions. If you talk about Brexit, will you be within it or outside it? So similarly, when a leader appeals to the nation, the decisions are being reduced to yes or no notions, and we shall try to avoid the same. So, in a complex society such as India, the representative democracy is the way out. The direct democracy can bring in the tendencies of mobocracy or majoritarianism. If you see the Indira Gandhi era, the very notion or this very understanding becomes very clear. So, if you take collective responsibility, it's been done away with them and it has become a few sycophants or coterie has become started ruling the nation. And then extra constitutional authorities are being developed. These are all not in the good in the context of the democracy. And the message from the Amritsar. The Heart of Asia conference is going to be held in Amritsar. So in this case, what is the major intention of this Heart of Asia conference? One is we have to find a regional solutions to the problems of Afghanistan, and we need to make a contribution from the countries towards a stable and prosperous Afghanistan. India, Pakistan are also members of this conference. In this context, it is coming at a juncture where the tensions between India and Pakistan are very high, and the tensions between Afghanistan and Pakistan are also rising. So India and Afghanistan are expected to collectively raise the voice against Pakistan at this conference. Now, if you see, Afghanistan is also being a victim of state-sponsored terrorism from the Pakistan. and it is suggesting for the Pakistan to be decisive in their fight against the Taliban. But however, there is no proper response from the Pakistan on the same. And the second thing is, today China is also actively involving in developing a proper state in the Afghanistan and in exchanging the necessary military exercises with Afghanistan. The reason is in the Xinjiang province in China, Uyghur Muslims are talking about a separation. So, if Afghan militantism overlaps with this militantism in Uyghur, in Xinjiang, it will destabilize the China. So, in this context, the China is showing an interest in the Afghan stability now. So, this is what is the context we need to take into consideration in this Heart of Asia conference, and we will see what will be the outcome. And coming to US for closer defense ties with India. Mr. Carter, when when he is the defense secretary, we have got into a close relationship. We know that Limova Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement was signed. And India is also declared as major defense partner of the United States of America. And DTIA, Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, is also been launched. And added to that, a special cell was created in the Pentagon for a quick clearance of the India's defense acquisitions. So, in this context, a bill is about to be introduced in the Congress, that is, National Defense Authorization Act, which will declare India as a major defense partner that provides for quick access to technologies to India. Again, one important development is this: India US defense cooperation is moving beyond the party lines in US, and there is a bipartisan support to the same. That's what we need to emphasize over here. And the next one is the park breaks down after public appearance. Thus, it is about the South Korea. There are complaints of corruption against the president of South Korea, Ms. Park. Now, let's take the Korean Peninsula and issues. One is the North Korea is repeatedly testing the weapons. And the next is the third missiles are being deployed in South Korea, which the China is resisting for. And the South Korea and China's trade, it is decreasing. And decrease in the exports of the South Korea is also bringing economic slowdown. And then the present political instability in the South Korea, these are the things which are coming together in South Korea. Now let's see the notes. Patriotism by Diktat. So the recent judicial order to play the national anthem and every person has to stand to the national anthem is or else is not in favor with our constitutional principles. So it exactly what the author tries to say over here, the Hindu tries to say is the nationalism need not be explicitly shown by the people. It shall be an inherent feeling inside the hearts of the people. But however, we may have a differing opinions on the same article because Hindu is more towards the freedoms and rights of the people, and it constructs a simplistic notion as imposing nationalism or a rule or a restriction on the people is violative of their freedoms. The self-test option, Vora Quick HIV is a self-test for HIV, and WHO has developed the guidelines for the same. The contours of a challenge. It talks about the judiciary and its need for intervention with regard to the demonetization exercise, as it is against the procedures and also causing the hardships to the people. Democracy direct to whom? The essence of this article is, in a complex society such as India, representative democracy is more favorable to the direct democracy. The message from Amritsar. In this, the India and Afghanistan are coming together to make a statement against the Pakistan, and the China is also showing a deep interest in the stability of the Afghanistan. These are the articles for today. US for closer defense ties with India. That is, National Defense Authorization Act is about to be passed in the US Congress. Today, Indian Express paper is not delivered by the time I was making this video, so I try to cover it tomorrow for you. Thank you very much and all the best. I am enjoying your comments. And second is, any constructive suggestion I am ready to take for that. And the Hindu articles I am trying to decipher to you as per the liberal understanding. So you can pose your arguments liberally, and I will try to give the replies to the same. If you are interested, you can also give answers to this question from tomorrow. I will start discussing the question of the day from the previous day so that it helps us to understand how to present an answer. And thank you very much. All the best.